Hello everyone, today I'm here to talk about the Notorious Scarlett and Browne by Jonathan Stroud. So this is the second book in the Scarlett and Browne series. I already have the third one waiting for me to read. I'm super excited about it. I have no idea how long this series is going to be. You know, the Bartimaeus trilogy was originally a trilogy, then years later he wrote The Ring of Solomon. Lockwood & Co. was 5 books long, and so I'm just super excited to see how long this series is going to be because I really enjoy it. If you haven't watched the review of the first one, maybe go and watch that first and then come back to this one. But basically, this is about Scarlett and Browne, Scarlett McCain and Albert Browne, who are outlaws and they rob banks, and of course they get into trouble because of this, and they both have like their past lives before they met that are catching up to them throughout the series, and I really enjoy it. It's super clever. You really do feel for the characters, which I really like. Obviously, like, I feel like that's the thing that gets me the most when I am either reading or watching a movie, is if I don't care about the characters, then I'm obviously not really going to care about the movie or what's happening to any of them, and it's just a drag to watch. So I really like the way that Jonathan Stroud writes, because he does make you feel for his characters. Even if you don't feel for all of them, I feel like there's one that you're always rooting for and you want to come back to them and their story, and so I really love that. I also like in the first book, I don't know if you can see, but there's like little gray sections here within the book. In the first book, that was kind of flashbacks to Albert Browne's history and what he went through as a kid. And in this one, they're flashbacks more to Scarlett and her backstory. And so I really like that he kept those inserts in there, but for obviously the other main character. So that was really clever. Those were exciting. You know, there were parts where I just wanted to like skip forward and read it, but I was like, okay, Tate, no, like just read the book the way it was written, which I totally have done. When I was reading the Bartimaeus trilogy, there came a point in the second book where I was like, oh my gosh, like I just have to follow this character's story a little bit further before I can go back to the other character, because I was just so invested in that storyline at one point. So I totally skipped ahead and like read the next chapter for that character and then went back to the chapter about Nathaniel and Bartimaeus. So I am guilty of doing that 100%. But for this one, I did not. I held out and I read it all the way through as it was intended to be. But yeah, you guys should totally check these books out. I like how they ended it kind of with a propelling force to drive you into the third book. I feel like the first book ended and it could have been like an end, you know, they're just kind of on the run again. They're going to keep robbing banks, yada yada. But this one has that like step towards the third book, and so I'm super excited to jump right into the third book. Like I said, I already got it from the library because I knew, well, I read this in like 3 or 4 days, something like that, like really fast. They're not super hard reads. It's easy to follow. I love the world that he's built, this like apocalyptic world, and once again I'm really excited to see, maybe in the third book there'll be more of the history of what led to like this apocalypse. And there were some things that Scarlett and Browne were trying to steal in this book, and one thing that Albert has that I think might be important later on, because Jonathan Stroud is really good at doing that. Like I said in the Bartimaeus trilogy, if you've watched that review, he was very good at something is mentioned or used in the first book, and in the third book it all came together and like whoop. And so I'm interested to see what this thing is that Albert actually took, and if that is really important later on in the story. So yes, you should all check out Jonathan Stroud's books. Once again, I've read the Bartimaeus trilogy, Lockwood & Co. and this series. I feel like this series is maybe like the most friendly for younger readers. There's still like violence and they're outlaws. I feel like if you're not scared by ghosts, Lockwood & Co. would maybe be more your thing. If you're more into like westerns and heists and outlaws, then Scarlett and Browne would be more your thing. And I think the Bartimaeus trilogy is a great introduction to Jonathan Stroud, but if you haven't, like maybe if you're younger, you should wait a couple years to read those books. But you know, read whatever you like to read whenever you want. I was actually talking to my mom this week, and my mom was like, you were reading books when you were younger that were like way above your level or like maturity and stuff like that. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm like, if you understand it and you know what's happening, and you're comfortable reading it, just read it. I'm not ageist when it comes to books. So yeah, definitely check out Jonathan Stroud. And this, let me think. There are a bunch of large animals in these books, like giant owls, giant otters, things like that. And so my question today is, what is my favorite big animal? Which is really hard. I guess if we're going with living animals, it'd probably be like a lion or a tiger. I think they're super cool, they're super big, they're super powerful, and I feel like we sometimes underestimate that because, at least like where I live, there's no, tigers and lions running around. Probably if you live in areas where they are, it's more like respectful of them because you know what they can do, right? If we're going with overall animals that have ever existed, I am a huge fan of the T-Rex, and that's 100% Jurassic Park's fault. But it's just so cool and so big and so awesome. T-Rex, yeah, is probably my favorite extinct animal that's really big. Yeah, animals alive, lions, tigers, bears are cute too. I kind of want to hug a bear, but I probably like big cats more than bears if I had to choose between one. So yes, thank you so much for listening once again. That was the Notorious Scarlett and Browne by Jonathan Stroud. Definitely check out his books. Please comment down below, do you have a favorite big animal? And like, subscribe, comment, share, and thank you so much for listening. And you all have a great day.